Hi, yes. It's probably pretty obvious that I've been going live more again lately, and I'll be going live. And I'm thinking about making videos again like I used to. And today we're going to be talking about what it's like to build, manufacturing companies. So, for those who've, watched my channel, uh, you know, Notia Point was pretty much the first real sort of like manufacturing company that I ever built. And earlier this year, I started talking about, what's it like to build businesses and things like that. And so I figured as well focus on a relevant topic these days because manufacturing is just kind of something that some of you have to deal with, and some of you probably, most people probably don't. So maybe it'll be interesting to learn more about that. But it could also be helpful for those learning how to get a job or get hired at a manufacturing firm or wanting to do engineering for that sort of a thing, or even if you wanted to learn how to make your own little small manufacturing thing as a way to learn. I mean, people can do all kinds of things these days. Uh, you know, with AI and technology, options, you have options. So, when we started Notion Point, we were trying to find ways to, build business, the alternatives to things like AWS, hosting all of our infrastructure on things like Raspberry Pis and building our own systems. One thing that kind of led to where we are today is with manufacturing, even if you're using popular board or technology, your supply chain is a complicated thing. So we needed a better way to build better supply chains. So one thing that I think I've learned in business is if you go and you start something like a manufacturing company, sometimes you might have to pump the brakes on a goal for a few years to try to go and patch some gaps. So for us, what I've learned is, if you are trying to do something like build maybe like a little more complex business, it's doable, but be ready for just a lot of I mean, I'm sure every business you run into unlimited unexpected things. So I'm sure that's common for anyone building a business. So in manufacturing anyway, you have to get access to your supplies, and chances are your supplies are technical. You probably have specific chips, you probably have specific things that you're trying to set up, and then you probably have software somewhere in the mix. So we always built our own software. So I still build my software to this day, and I work with a team, and we build software. So we actually started building software because our hardware supply chain got complicated, and so we started building firmware software. It sounds really boring, but by building firmware software, it's going to allow me to manufacture with different types of chipsets. Because in the past, the problem we ran into was chipsets. When you're starting to get like a lot of sales or you're starting to get a lot of business, you have to hope that you can continue to get access to chips to have supplies. It's probably not a surprising thing to hear that if the supplies runs out, then you have no supplies. And so anyways, if you're manufacturing, and I guess it depends on what you're manufacturing, not everything uses chips, but our stuff, we manufacture like devices and things like that. So anyways, we decided to just go and go back to the basics and build like our own firmware model. And so that's something that I've actually been completing over the past year or so, is just getting all of that built. So now I'm going to be taking some time to get back into a lot of those manufacturing goals. But yeah, I guess it's a good opportunity to talk about. If anyone's ever wanting to learn more about this type of thing, feel free to leave a comment or something like that at some time. But you know, uh, when trying to start a manufacturing company, I think some of the number one challenges that I learned is, you have to find ways to, get enough funding to both get labor and supplies. And so trying to get supplies early on, you can start with all kinds of strategies like finding local vendors who will work with you, or people who will let you be like a reseller early on, where maybe you build a class around something. I think the one thing I've learned about someone who's trying to build a manufacturing or a product business is, you can build more than one business. So if you want to do a lot of labor, probably do that in a separate business. So if you have a product company, let it be a product company. People buy products, make it a product company. That's something that I learned from an employer even before I started doing my own manufacturing. There's someone I worked for. they said their biggest regret in the business that they started was that they had their labor force in their labor firm. It was like the same company and business as the products that they built. And they said if they could go back in time and do it all over again, that they would just have the labor be a separate business, even if they, built both themselves. So that's kind of more what we ended up doing. So for a few years, we've been kind of actually just funding all of this firmware and manufacturing stuff that we've been trying to get back into, just with labor. Yeah, just you can do labor. It generates money, and then you can use money from labor to pay other people. And then if you pay other people to complete things, then the work gets done, and eventually you have a product, and then you can decide what you want to do with that product. So for us, there are some things that we'll be talking about, but I think it's I'm trying to figure out how to grow my business. But anyways, it's probably a topic that I should just talk about over a couple of videos. So, if anyone, I'll look at the numbers and see if anyone likes this topic. If seems like no one cares about this topic, I'll explore other business topics. So I'll be talking about different business topics until I find what seems interesting to folks on YouTube. If you make YouTube videos too, then you have those videos that get obviously quite a lot more views than others. Some topics people are just much more interested in. So I'll see. I'll make a number of videos coming up here. Probably notice I've already made a lot more videos than usual than I have been recently. That's going to continue, and I'm going to be seeing what types of content people are into these days. If you like more topics about manufacturing, building a business, then we'll get into that sort of a thing. And welcome, greetings, thanks for joining. So I guess talking about a few other things about, if you are trying to figure out how to start, because I guess I started manufacturing a while ago, but if you were trying to figure out, if I were to go all the way back to day one, like how would I start a brand new bouncing baby manufacturing business? Now that we have the internet's much faster than it was when I started doing things. We've got fiber internet these days. Computers are way more powerful. Even computers that you can get at home are so powerful that, you can pretty much build entire applications at home, without having a data center or something like that. Because I used to work in the actual big data center buildings. And I guess in terms of starting a manufacturing company, to be fair, I guess for me, I did work with manufacturers first. So I had experience before trying to actually start a manufacturing business. So I guess usually you want to start with something small and something that you could figure out how to mass produce. So maybe I go all the way back to my first manufactured product was actually a DVD. I made a DVD for a specific type of event, and we printed out our own sleeves, had cases for it, printed on the actual discs, had all the printers, all the machinery, and I had to work with some folks to make sure that we could get a ton of DVDs, and then I would go and I'd deliver those DVDs, and people could come over to the booth and buy the specific videos. And so that was back in 2005. That was a while ago. So I guess it's been a while since, I was new to manufacturing. So what I started doing later on was actually drop shipping, which is way easier, and you don't have to have as many partners around. This might sound strange, but drop shipping can be a good way to start a product business, because manufacturing, you don't necessarily want to start manufacturing right away. If I could go back in time, I would say that just trying to start right away, it's really hard to manage supply chains. Until you understand how to manage a supply chain, starting a manufacturing business is kind of a nightmare. I'll be honest about that. Let's just be honest here. So an easy way to learn supply chain skills is to learn how to drop ship and somehow make it profitable, because plenty of people do it, and you could too. Or print on demand is a form of drop shipping. And it's not, I'm not saying do that to go get rich. You're not going to go make $1 million from drop shipping, most likely. I'm sure someone does. You go on the internet video, there's people you can do all these things in 5 days. Business, usually you have so much to learn that by the time you get anywhere with something like drop shipping, it could be like a year and just basically be education and just learn how to manage a supply chain and learn how to get it to like start making some positive revenue. And then usually if you make enough money, you can take that and then put that into your first product. And then you already know what's selling. Usually if you start manufacturing something that nobody wants, one thing I see often is someone will get a lot of resources and they'll start manufacturing something and then they'll start selling it and no one buys it. And then they just have all these inventory and no one bought anything. So if you do things like, drop shipping, it's a way to both like learn the skills and then also have a way to kind of identify like, well, what would someone even buy from you? So anyways, there are a lot of different ways to learn these types of skills. You could also, I mean, you can make your own things. It's a little harder to do at scale, So I mean, you could also do things like Etsy and make something of your own, and it would be really slow selling, which is also fine. Honestly, experience is experience. So if you can go and I don't know, it's something as simple as making a card business and learning how to sell cards. If you wanted to make your own thing, keep it incredibly simple, like incredibly simple. I know someone who sells jars of jam. Like that's not necessarily manufacturing, but it's a way to kind of get used to supply chain and having inventory and that sort of a thing. So then, once you start getting good at these types of things, it can be, more valuable to start trying to figure out how to go and build like an actual product or a prototype. And anyway, start something small, get used to managing materials, get used to, getting someone to buy something from you and getting comfortable with that. Cause it's, business is business. It's like, gotta pay the bills. It's exciting and it's not to say that it's not exciting to build a business, but after a while, once you've been a business owner, it's a job and jobs are jobs. So, you build the skills, you learn how to like make something of your own and then see, if you can find out how to market yourself and market what you've done and provided and get that to someone. That process can do quite a lot for someone. So anyway, we'll see if this is an interesting topic and, I'll go ahead and hop off for now. Thanks for watching the stream.